not getting. And like we paid Jim Johnson's salary. He wasn't doing the job, so then he's gotta go. So it all comes down to, it just goes from one point to the other point to the other point. And I think that the rust problem will kind of fix itself now that we might have somebody that oversees the wells and make sure that there's chemicals, and you have supposedly alarm system coming on all 3 wells. So then the board will oversee her, the new property manager here. So let's just give it a little bit, but I still think, and it's the irrigation system in here. You've got a lot doing the sprinklers, and I can guarantee you that every sprinkler in here is not working, still. And that's been 17 months, we've been screwing around with the sprinklers, not working. And they're hitting roofs, and they're hitting houses, and they're hitting cars. And now, we have new sod coming. And now we're gonna have that problem with the sprinklers still not fixed, and how is that gonna affect the new sod coming in? And that's why I'm saying, if you keep after the board member, and yes, I'm a board member too, but keep after us, because the thing is if you don't speak up, they're gonna do what they wanna do. And that is not, we were elected by the people of Arborwood, and for the people of Arborwood. Not just to sit up here and make decisions and say, hey, you like it or not. That's just the way it's gonna be. That's not how I think a board should run and function as a board. So that's why I say, we gotta all get your input, and I think these town hall meetings are the best way to do it, because now, like Dave said, he's worked with wells, putting wells in his home, and I think at the last board meeting that I went to, somebody brought up that, yes, we all have something to bring to the table. And if it's him from putting a well into his home, or somebody else to figure out things, how we can fix things in here, that's what it's all about. It's everybody's input, not just 5 people's input.
Sandy, we should have monthly town hall meetings, permanently.
I think the town hall meetings, because.
It works.
Now you think about it, see our first town hall meeting that we had?
It worked.
Well, guess what? Now we saw a board member out getting rust off of the driveways and the sidewalks. It
Yeah.
was like, yippee. So then all of a sudden, I have the elect crew in front of my house every Friday, but guess what? Now I see elect crews out there 2-3 times a week. Now, when have you seen that? And that's only been
It's working.
since these town hall meetings.
That's
And
right.
that's why I said it was so important, and I thank Lori Thompson for getting this all
Yeah.
organized. But and being the secretary on the board, I took minutes on my own on the open mic, because that's not recorded. So when you all get up and say something about what you don't like, what you do like, what you'd like to see changed, you got a timer, 3 minutes, that's all they worry about is the 3 minutes, your time's up, and nothing ever gets done. And I wrote it down month after month after month, and it was always about the sprinklers, it was always about the sod, and it was always about Jim Johnson. And nothing was ever addressed. And I feel as a resident too, those issues should be addressed. I mean, you have concerns, and the open mic, you might as well just go outside in the parking lot and talk, because nobody's listening. And see, now they're listening to you, and I commend you for that. I just can't tell you what a smile that puts on my face to know that there are so many people here that are gonna support Arborwood, and I don't have to do it alone. And I thank you all for that.
Would it be possible that we were to go to one of the nearby universities, have them do a project on clarifying where that's coming from, the rust, and give proposals for what to do about it?
Yeah, I think once that you've got people that are gonna do the job, because we haven't had anybody doing the job, and we
Right.
all know that. So now that we have somebody new in here, I just think we should give it a little more time, because what do we got to lose? I know that the houses are gonna be painted, but I think now that the alarm system is going into effect, and that's all I can say, I can't say any more about that, but you've got an alarm system going on the wells, and somebody's gonna be responsible for that. So the person that we have a new person that's gonna be responsible for that, so that's just a little glitter of hope, I think.
That's how many times I've said, remove the rust from my house. I'm on the fourth one, and I only put it in every other week.
I know,
I mean, it's like talking to a wall.
right, and the
In
thing is,
case you could not hear this lady, she has put in 4 requests to have the rust removed. Still hasn't been done. So hopefully no, but hopefully with this new property manager.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that she is going to be a little more organized and will keep track of the work orders, and we're gonna see an improvement. I just really believe and hope that is what will happen.
Say the same thing.
Nita?
That's okay.
My name is Meta Buswell, and I will try to say something nice. Mel and Sandy were Sandy's still a board member. Mel is no longer a board member. He did an outstanding job.
Yes, he did.
He took care.
Yes, yes.
He was at the pool every morning, blowing the papers, blowing the wheels, and he really cared what was going on at the pool. Sandy volunteered to install 50 or more
No.
lights in people's yards when we changed from the globes to whatever. They are volunteers. They knew when they tried to get on the board why they were going on. They're not on the board to be bossy, to be nasty, to tell you, go sit down, you have nothing to say. They knew that they volunteered to help. This is a 55 and over community. My husband is 85 years old. We can't do any more work. Our weeds are not being pulled. I just paid someone. And I'm sure all of you do the same. So therefore, remember, Sandy and Mel are the only 2 who are doing the job they've volunteered for. And the rest of them are just telling us, basically, to go to hell. Thank you.
Okay, and Mel, I owe you an apology, because when I was talking about removing the rust, Sandy and the Helping Hands and Fred, I failed to mention that you had done Rose Tree and Yellow Birch Court,
Yes, you
so my kudos to you also.
Thank you.
Sir,
2 quick things.
oh, come on up, please.
Good evening, my name is Carmen Graziano, I live on English Elm Drive. A quick thing about the rust. My wife and I have removed rust 4 times. 3-4 days it's back. The sprinklers need to be adjusted on a weekly basis, not monthly. I know it's a lot of work for a lot, but if that's part of their contract, they have to do it. The other thing is, in reference to the board meetings are just that. It's a board meeting. The residents are there as guests. However, something came up at a board meeting, and one of the board members said, is there any discussion? And looked around the room, didn't look at the board, looked around the room, and I was sitting right in that corner. And I raised my hand and I stood up, and he, yes. And I went to ask a question, and I was told I was out of order to sit down. Okay? The only way to fix that, and I hate to say this because there are some people on the board that deserve to be there, unseat the board, elect somebody else. The only problem is, nobody wants to run for the board because it's a thankless job. People think you, and I've been on HOA boards myself, people think you're putting money in your pocket. oh, they called this guy in because they get a kickback, they called that company because they're giving them a kickback. It doesn't work that way. The board is supposed to have the best interest of whatever community it is.
Yes.
That's their job, in the interest of the community. It has nothing to do, they don't get any kickbacks, they don't get paid, they're all volunteers. And that's it. But the thing is, if you wanna speak at a board meeting, you have to sign up. How do you know what they're talking about?
Yeah.
When somebody says, they bring up a point, and all of a sudden it says, there any discussion, and they're not just looking at the board. They're looking around the room. You're out of order. No, I'm out of order. No, you're out of order. And that was the end of that. But, back to the rust, I removed it 4 times, and it's still back. I asked Jim Johnson, he gave me another bag of white powder. I might as well have just chopped it up and snorted it because it didn't. That's it.
Very good, very good.
Thank you, Carmine. Okay, I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, it's the white powder. Yes,
I have another comment to make.
well, let me bring it back to you.
Last week, the lawnmower, a Lutz lawnmower, knocked over my lamp. Now, I have a solar lamp outside that I paid more than $70 for. Well, a gentleman put a note on my door saying it was gonna be fixed ASAP, and it was back on top of the thing in a couple of days, which I was very grateful for. The only thing is, it doesn't work now.
What do you want?
I would recommend that you make a visit to the office
Well,
and,
I'm gonna wait for the new person, which is the 28th.
Yes,
Yes,
that
very
is
good,
Monday.
very good.
yes, but I would definitely recommend that you make a trip to the office and explain this and tell them, you know, they need to make a lot. Okay. Well, hopefully you will get a better response with the new property manager. Okay, this came about also something that I would like to bring up. I know that Maida is not the only one in here that has been hiring someone to pull weeds. Maureen, Ellie, Sandy, anyway, there's a lot of them. In my opinion, that is totally unacceptable. You pay HOA fees that are supposed to take care of that.
Not like Rosie,
Pardon?
not like Rosie. She's the one that did it.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we need to put Rosie,
Rosie.
in charge of weeds in Arborwood. But you should not have to be paying for that. And if I were in your shoes, I believe that I would be contacting the property manager and board members to let them know that you have taken it upon yourself, but you're not happy about it. Pete?
I think that we don't do it because we know there is no result.
Well, hopefully with the new property manager.
And with the pressure from this group, maybe they'll do it, I don't know.
They actually were doing it today.
Yeah, they did a
I know
good job
it's
today.
a day late and $1 short, but my weeds got pulled today.
Yeah.
It's the first time, I think there's still a small pile in the back, but yeah, they picked most of them up. And I gotta say, you know, there have been other things that have been wrong, and I've gotten on Don Kelly's case, and he's made sure that these guys have taken care of it. So sometimes it's talking to the right member of the board, one who's responsible, and getting on their case. Well, I've had good results. I can't speak for anyone else. But I'm telling you, I got my weeds pulled today. It surprised the hell out of me.
You know, something that upsets me about the pulling of the weeds is, I don't know, I'm assuming you all have a neighbor who is a snowbird.
Yes.
I would like to believe that a lot does not know that these people are not here. But I have seen some weeds in some snowbirds' houses that are up to my knees. That did not happen. They did not grow in 1 week. They did not grow in 2 weeks. I feel sorry for those snowbirds that aren't here if this is not taken care of before they get back. If I was a snowbird and I came back to that, I can guarantee you, every one of you would hear me when I visited that office. And you would not have to be in this building to hear me. But that is unacceptable. And I think that's where we need to get down to the supervision of the property manager and the board holding the property manager and the vendor responsible. As long as we're talking about vendors, you all know there are trip hazards. I told you last month, I personally marked several trip hazards a year ago last May. Those same trip hazards still exist. Unacceptable in my book. Residents are continuing to trip and fall. Now, about the vendor. I found out that the same vendor that did not do a good job before has been hired again. He did, when he takes, you know, you form, say you form a sidewalk and there's 2x4s. When he takes those 2x4s off, there may be a gap like this that somebody can trip, you know, turn their ankle or whatever on. The board is not holding these vendors responsible. And yet we continue to hire ones that are doing poor work.
That's because it's easy.
Well, maybe that is the reason, but it's still unacceptable. And I just can't understand why.
Are they getting permits?
I don't think they have to have a permit.
No, I think you do have to have a permit.
Pull a permit to do like a
sidewalk,
trip
yeah.
hazard or something.
No, to do a sidewalk, you need a permit.
No,
I know in Hillsborough you
They're
do.
just
I don't
doing
know.
repairs.
I'm sure in Pasco you need to.
I don't know, Pete.
Not
Just
for
a thought,
repair.
when they
No?
hire these guys to do this work,
I don't know.
is the filling in of the gap part of the contract or not? Because if it's not, then someone from here has to go do it. So,
And
there's the
that
answer, is it in the
yes.
contract?
Gets back to
Pete
contract.
asked,
Yeah.
was it in the contract that the vendor contractor was responsible for filling in these gaps? I don't know,
County.
but
Well, Sandy, knows.
if,
She's on the board.
Sandy, do you know if it's in the contract? Okay.
She's a resident.
But if it is not in the contract, then shame on our property manager and shame on the board
The board,
member
yeah.
who signed the contract. Just food for thought. I'm going to remind you, that we think one of the best things that you can do is to flood the office with work orders. I know you're gonna say, oh, I filled out some, I'm not even gonna bother.
I have one right here. I did it for tonight. I did it on the 2nd of August, a work order, easy thing to do. I haven't heard a word, not a word.
May I ask what the work order was?
Yeah, I have a branch of a tree that's overhanging the roof and causing a black mold to form. And I just said, trim the branch on left side of house, overhanging roof and turning roof black. And it's dated 8/2, I gave it to Jim Johnson, of course, and I had to ask for this copy, and that's the 2nd of August, haven't heard a word.
And this
It's
is
in
the
the pile.
22nd?
It's in the pile.
Yes, it's probably
3
in the
weeks.
pile.
Yeah, no response, nothing.
Well, he is still here, and he is still working for Arborwood until
Yep, I expect
he
you to
leaves on
respond.
Friday.
Those
Now,
are the reasons why he's not here.
I agree,
Right,
Pete.
yeah.
But don't take the attitude, oh, I'm not gonna bother, it doesn't do any good. Please, please fill out work orders. This is the only way you're gonna let them know that something needs to be done. I don't know what else, can be said. I know it's time consuming, I know it's aggravating. But I also believe that if you fill out a work order and say in 10 days, you don't have 2 weeks, nothing's been done, fill out a second work order and write second request. Another 10 days, 2 weeks goes by, you get no satisfaction, fill out another one, says third request.
I don't think so. I think you should go right to the board member.
Well, I've done that. I've done that, then I pay personal visit. And I raise
Well-
my voice a bit.
Yes, but you have
You
got.
shouldn't have to, but.
No, you should not have to, but you have to stay on top of these things. I think part of the problem is that we as residents have sat back for so long. Hello?
We're getting a
God's
response.
attention.
How appropriate. I think we have all sat back for so long and said, well, nothing's gonna happen. I'm not gonna waste my time. And I can understand the frustration, because I have filled out 4 work orders and gone into the office. But I think we do have the attention of the board now. And I think the only way that we are gonna keep it is to let them know that we're not going to go away and forget these things. Arlene?
Laurie, people are probably anxious to go, and I would like to talk about something else, nothing to do with this.
Okay,
Sorry, we have to focus, we have to go.
okay, thanks for coming.
See you later.
Okay, I believe, flood the office with work orders.
Can I just add to that for a second?
Yes,
At the next board meeting, we have open mic. Why can't people get up and talk about the timeliness and responsiveness that was the cause of losing Jim, and ask why the new property manager to do that.
he would like for several of us
Several
to
of you.
speak up at the next board meeting at open mic and say that we've had to turn in multiple work orders and that we weren't happy.
Sandy stood up and said, nothing is done at open mic. A letter has to be written to the board in order to speak during the meeting.
That was right there.
That was scary.
Arlene,
Sandy, that's because you got up there.
Maybe I should.
I saw it.
Yeah, I wouldn't go out in my car with the lightning.
I'd like to talk about something that maybe isn't very popular with some of you, and that's the speeders in our community. It's very upsetting. I'm Arlene Barnett, and I live on Aspenwood. And it's right a couple doors away, it turns onto White Ash. We have deer that, with their babies, the fawns, that come across the street from the woods over to the back of our house, and just back and forth. And they cross the streets right where the street curves. So the ones on White Ash don't see where they're crossing the street. I'm afraid someday we're going to see them hit. There's been other deer in the community that have been hit. Who knows how they suffered before they died. And it's not just Arborwood, and there are people here in Arborwood that do speak. We also have someone, she drives through, she doesn't want to drive, I know why she's coming to our street, she's from the Villas. So she doesn't want to hit the speed bumps, so she comes through our street. And when I try to tell her, keep it down, she smiles. She knows that's not what I'm not with. But I did talk to them at the board. Richard said, get her license number. I don't know what that would do.
She goes by too fast.
She goes by too fast. Yeah. I know, that's why I say it's not gonna be popular, but I feel what happened, how did it help on Pampas at the speed bumps? I think we need more speed bumps. I would like a speed bump. I know they're not popular. I heard old people say, oh, I hate those speed bumps on Pampas. It's gonna ruin my car. They must not go to the supermarket where the speed bumps are. And I feel it's a good solution. So I'm just mentioning it.
Okay.
I mean, one other thing, I think most of us, we moved here, because we felt it's a lovely neighborhood, lovely community. Part of that we appreciate are the wildlife.
Yeah.
We should protect them.
Yeah.
I promise this is the last thing I'm gonna say. As far as Mr. Out of Order and the answer to your question about the open mic, they don't listen to it. This is how it works. They have an agenda, and you can only speak on agenda items. So, during the meeting, correct. Because after the meeting's over, the open mic is open to the residents. But like I said, that's useless. So if you want to, just one second, if you really have something that you would really like to talk about at a board meeting, don't hesitate to call me, because I as a board member and a representative of this community, I can put that on the agenda, so then you will be allowed to sign up and speak on the agenda item. And this is how you guys can get your point across. So that's all you have to do, and I don't care how many phone calls I get. If there's something that you really want, I'll write it down, and we'll put it on, I'll make sure it gets on the agenda, and the agenda comes out maybe a couple days before the meeting, you see it on the agenda. There's always a sign-up sheet on the first table when you walk in, sign up to speak, and there's really not a time limit on that, so go at it.
Sandy, if I may, 1 second. The item that I was speaking on was an agenda item. The board was sitting at the table. Rich was the one who looked at me square in the face and said, "You're out of order."
Had you signed up
That's
to
why he's not a
speak
board
on the
member
agenda
anymore.
item?
Did you sign a paper on that first day?
No, I did not, but he looked,
They looked
he was sitting at the table and he said, "Is there any discussion?" And he looked all around the room. He didn't look at the board members, he looked around the room. And I raised my hand and he pointed at me, and I stood up. And when I asked a question on what they were talking about, he said, "You're out of order." To be honest with you, I don't remember, and I'll tell you why.
Are they allowed? That's what I heard.
And that was the last meeting I attended, because if they're gonna pull that kind of stuff, I don't need to be here.
Okay, that brings up something
That's why
else.
he needs to be here, yeah.
I would like to ask a favor of all of you here. Please, show your presence, show that we are united, and plan to attend the September 21st board meeting at 9:30 a.m. here in the auditorium. I don't care if you don't want to stand up and say anything, just your presence being shown. And I think that is part of the problem. So many people have gotten disgusted at going to the board meetings. They said, "I'm not going anymore, it raises my blood pressure." pressure, I'm done, it does no good. But if we unite and show a presence, I think the board is gonna open their eyes and know that we want things to change. Now,
I would like to, another subject.
Right on.
okay, come up.
I want to know what's going on with my property. I'm Marilyn Radosevich and I live on campus.
Oh, sir.
Talking to the mic.
Talk into the mic.
Oh,
Give her the mic.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We spend a lot of money on our house. We're the one that has the 3 rose trees in front and the plants and inside and out. I have a neighbor that this past spring decided he wants to see the pond. I bought the house from Arizona specifically to the woods behind me. So he goes over and cuts the woods out. I went out and said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "You want to see the pond?"
You can't do that.
It's really sad for me. And then I looked out and A-Lot was going to cut the whole thing out. I said, "What are you doing?" And he said they had orders. I said, "Who gave you the orders?" And nobody would tell me in the board who gave me the order. Well, that's one thing. Now somebody is cutting my trees. We planted holly trees for the birds. Love birds. And now the holly trees have been all cut. We had bird feeder out that just disappeared last week. I called the sheriff's office, but I didn't hear from them. Somebody doesn't need to be on my yard. I don't know who it is. And so I have had to get a security system and I'm gonna have to put up lights. My husband died, I buried him in May. And the third thing I wanna tell you, there's somebody with our bird bath, when Deborah, my daughter, cleans it, it's foaming, and the birds are not coming back like they did. Every so often, maybe weekly, I smell something, and I'm sensitive to chemicals. I don't know what that is. But somebody's doing something around there with chemicals, so we didn't know if they were putting chemicals on the trees or the bird bath. So that's what I've been living with, and I sent a letter to the board, and Jim came out and looked, and he didn't see any big problem. But I'm expecting something to be done. But you have no idea how frustrating that is.
Yes, we
I
do.
sent a letter to the board, then I went in and said to Jim, did they send a letter to the neighbor? And they said, no, they decided they weren't gonna do anything, just let it go. Well, in the meantime, they're doing my holly trees the whole bit. Thank you for listening, but and it's done surreptitiously at night or sometimes, they go back in the woods and trees. So I'm a tree lover, a bird lover. If you see anything going on, please let us know. Thanks.
Okay, in the interest, yes.
I have one question. Okay, I noticed that there are a lot of people like the lady before here who live alone, men and women. And I found something out that I didn't know, and I need to tell everybody here. I fall a lot. And how I get up is, other than having very nice neighbors, you call 911 and you tell them this is not an emergency, but I have fallen and I need help getting up. And in 10, 15 minutes, the fire department will send a group of volunteers to your house, pick you up, make sure you're all right, and leave. And it's no cost to you. So if you know somebody who lives alone and falls, which anybody can do, even in their own home, remember that and let them know.
I'm Ellie Goggin, and there's two things I want to address. One, I'm here since 1989, on and off until '03 when I moved here all for full time. And there's a lot of things that go on that people don't even know about. You know, for instance, Point West is one office, Recreation is the other office, and Arborwood is the other office. And there are procedures, and the procedures as far as work orders go, there's a lot of people that feel that if they call the office, or if they stop a board member, or if they do this, that their problem is going to be solved. And you can do that 3 or 4 times, it's not going to be solved. The process is you're supposed to put a work order in, and then you're supposed to keep a copy, and then when you put a second request, you're supposed to refer to the number of the first request, because apparently there is a system in the office that's supposed to be working. And if you do that and refer to the first, then they can go back and see that something is not being taken care of. We have to hope that this new young lady who I met, and I don't know anything about her, but she seems very lovely. I think she's got a big job in front of her, and a lot of straightening up to do. There were some volunteers that worked in the office for a while. There's a backlog of filing and things like that. I volunteered. I told her I'd go into the office and help her. And the other issue I have is, I forgot what the other issue is. No. I know, this meeting, I think this meeting is awesome.
Yeah.
I love it, and I think it would be nice if we had another town hall meeting before the board meeting,
Yes.
if possible. And I think that a lot of people don't even know what a town hall meeting is. I never had experience with it until we started this. And just in the little blurb about the date of the next one, I think it would be nice to put in, and we will continue to discuss the rust problem, the speeding in the neighborhood, and the bumps in the sidewalk. And then people will know, oh, this is what we're discussing, that might be interesting. I know there are people here that won't go to board meetings that are here tonight, because another thing is you handle this meeting so beautifully.
That's right,
that
yeah.
there's no yelling out from the sidelines. Everybody is being respectful of each other, and that's the way it should be, and that's how we get stuff done. And I really think that, you know, that's the way we should go. And thank you, Gloria.
Okay, would you all like to have another town hall meeting before the September board meeting?
Yes.
Okay, I will, I'm sorry, Pete.
What are you gonna discuss additional to this?
We're just gonna have a town hall.
Have a town hall meeting,
Just
how do I know
talk.
what's gonna happen in the
Yeah.
next 2 or 3 weeks?
It's,
I mean, it seems
It's
to
just
me that the
nice.
majority would like
More
another
people.
meeting.
yes, and we get more
To see
people.
how the new girl is doing.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, I will schedule one and we'll send out an email. And if you do not get my email, stop me, give me a call, something, and we'll get that straightened out.
What are her hours again? Monday, Wednesday, Friday?
Monday and Wednesday, the office is open 1 to 4. Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, 9
It's
to
in
1.
your, it's in your folder. I mean, it's in the email.
Okay.
That's what I got.
I'm gonna step lightly on this issue. But it has been brought up and I think it warrants discussion. I believe I heard more than one individual say that they would like to see new board members.
Yay!
Yep.
I don't know how this would come about, but I think a start is if you would be willing to serve on the board, I would like for you to either see me or Karen, could they talk to you? Nothing like putting me on the spot right here, right? Okay, so if any of you would be willing to possibly be a board member, please see one of us, because we would like to talk to you.
And Dan? No. Dan?
Is there
I'd rather
anything
watch the
else?
board rather than being on the board.
Okay, I think we have dodged the storm. So that's a good thing.
Let that be our subject at the next town hall meeting.
The storm?
No. Somebody running for the board.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And
Okay.
items to put on the agenda.
exactly.
I'm sorry?
Items to put on the agenda for the board meeting for Sandy.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
that's another good idea.
Yep.
If you have something that you would like to have put on the agenda for the September board meeting, bring those ideas with you. And again, please, please, please plan to attend the September 21st board meeting here in the auditorium at 9:30.
We'll be here.
I will also say, if any of you have concerns or questions, I'm not saying I have the answer, but I'll listen. Don't hesitate to call me, send me an email. I'm on the computer numerous times a day, checking email. I am gone a lot, so I'm kind of hard to catch at home, but you can leave a message. I'll try to get back with you. And again, I want to thank you for coming and showing your support and hoping that we will get some of these issues resolved and Arborwood again will be a place that we're all proud and happy to live in.
Wasn't there a petition